This is Steve Corrigan. Give me a round of applause. Steve Corrigan, everyone.
It's coming through the year. It's nice to be back in Pompey. I used to live down here, but I've moved away, so it's nice to come back. I always say complimentary things about Pompey because it reminds me of home. It reminds me of Newcastle. It's got a lot of similarities. It's got a dockyard. It's got alcoholism. It's got pissheads. It's got smoking. It's got fighting. It's got a good working class night out. That's what I like to call it. But not everyone is complimentary about Pompey. Now listen to this. Now, have you heard of a man called General James Wolfe?
No.
Yeah, who was he then? Who? A poet? No. No, that's wrong. He was known as the hero of Quebec because he smashed the shit out of the French in a war. He might have written poems as well, but this, what he wrote about Pompey isn't very kind. I'm going to read it to you. He said, "The necessity of living in the midst of the diabolical citizens of Portsmouth is a real and unavoidable calamity. It is a doubt to me if there is such another collection of demons upon the whole earth." What a bastard. Can you believe he said that? And it's going on because he wrote that in 1758, right? So people have been slagging things off in Pompey since that time. And you've also had more recently, Boris Johnson. Do you remember what he said? He said Portsmouth was full of drugs, obesity, underachievement and Labour MPs. Which one are you? Labour. Don't ever be a Labour MP. Out of that list, you chose Labour MP for fuck's sake. Why did you choose obesity? That's what I choose. So yeah, he said that, which isn't very kind either. Now, you could have all of those things at once though, couldn't you? You could have an obese, underachieving politician full of drugs, like the mayor of Toronto. I don't even know if he's still the mayor. I don't really keep up with Canadian politics. I don't even fucking vote for the X Factor now, mind, the mayor of Toronto. So my favourite story though about Portsmouth is this was the last place in the country where somebody got tried and convicted for witchcraft. Did you know that? Anyone want to have a guess what year that was? 1840 over there?
2012.
Good guess, not quite right.
1944.
1944, the man! Yeah, that's right. She got convicted of witchcraft in 1944 because this lady, what was her name again? Her name was Helen Duncan, right? And this lady was hobnobbing with all the stars, and I'm talking the big fucking names. I'm talking Winston Churchill, King George VI. She used to do seances for people like that, right? So she was pretty famous at the time. And she knew that some ships had sank and that some sailors had died because she'd been contacted from the other side, apparently. So these guys, these Navy officers, arrested her in Portsmouth and she got banged up for witchcraft and spent 9 months in Holloway prison. And I read about that and I thought, I don't believe in all that bollocks to start with, right? So where's she got that information from? She's clearly a fucking spy. They should have checked that out, really. I mean, she knew that information. She must have been a spy. And I would have got that information out of her by either dunking her in the river or burning her at the stake. So I'm a Geordie, as you can probably tell, and like I say, we have a lot of things in common with Portsmouth. Geordies like drinking, Geordies like smoking, Geordies like fighting. I don't like fighting. I mean, I'm like a pacifist. The last time I had a fight, I smashed the other guy over the head with my Masters of the Universe lunchbox. But we used to smoke a lot at school. I mean, we would smoke cigarettes, cigars, pipes, bongs, banana skins, cinnamon sticks in cookery class, lead bromide in chemistry class. If you could roll up and smoke it, the Geordies will smoke it. Everybody smokes. If you go around the pubs on a Friday night in Newcastle, everyone's standing outside smoking. There's so much dust and smoke and ash in the air. It's like the last days of Pompeii. When the smoking ban came in, the Geordies just removed all the walls from the pubs. It was a lot easier than trying to make an outside area. Just make everything outside, keep it nice and simple. But I've stopped smoking because it's bad for your health. I mean, apart from the fact that it's got tar in it, it has a lot of other stuff as well. I do like drinking, so I'm going to just have a little breather. Yeah, but I don't smoke anymore because of all these radioactive isotopes you've got in cigarettes. I mean, you've got radioactive isotopes of xenon and argon and neon, the so-called noble gases. And it got to the stage I was smoking so much noble gases I tried to get into eating, and then I set up a fox hunt on the weekend. I used to smoke cannabis as well, but I've stopped doing that because it destroyed my short-term memory, and it destroyed my short-term memory. You may have heard about Uruguay. Uruguay has legalized cannabis, and I think that's a very good thing because, you know, England have got no chance of beating Uruguay in the World Cup unless all their players are very, very stoned. Except for Luis Suarez because he doesn't smoke, so we're going to have to lead him away from the stadium with some hay and some sugar lumps. The horse-faced, diving cheap bastard. So yeah, as you can see, I've been working in the gym quite a lot. I've been working on my ab. Like me ab, it's quite impressive ab. Some people say they've got abs, they've got six pack. What do you need six for? One's fine. Look at that. Can't do better than that, can you? So yeah, I like going to the gym, but my diet is abysmal. I'm from a town called South Shields. And in South Shields, there's a 50-yard street, and it's got 3 branches of Greggs on it. So you can basically do a pasty relay. You can take one from the first one. By the time you've finished, you've got just enough time to nip into the next one, and you get all the way down the street just eating that Greggs. And if you remember that film, Super Size Me with Morgan Spurlock, do you remember this film where he eats at McDonald's every day for a month, and then he gets his liver function tested, and it's abnormal? Everyone remember the film? And the Geordies watch that, and they're like, what a puff! He only did a month. He wants to try living like a Geordie. 10 pints every night, every meal from Greggs for 30 years, then we'll see what your liver looks like. Geordie's livers just pack up. I mean, literally pack up. They get their shit together and they leave. They're like, that's me gallbladder, that's me pancreas, I'm off out of here, I can't take the punishment. What was that noise? Was that someone's voice?
Yeah, you said.
Who said that?
She did, shit.
Fantastic. I wish I had a really good comeback for that, but that's just the most fucking banal bollocks I've heard, so I can't be asked. So anyway, I was born in the 1970s, which was a strange time. There was no political correctness back then like there is now. For example, back in the 1970s, the mentally subnormal were referred to as specials. You can't call them that anymore. Now we have to call them police community support officers. So let's talk to the audience. Let's pick on someone. You, sir, have you ever had pubic lice? No. Are you sure? That's good news. The thing is, I'm not surprised you haven't had pubic lice because they're on an endangered species list. Did you know this? Pardon? Oh, I'm coming on to that. Excellent. You've got the right idea. Yeah. But the problem with pubic lice is that in the 1970s, everyone had these massive hairy bushes, didn't they? So the pubic lice were in the element. They had lots of habitat. But nowadays, what with Hollywoods and quim trims and twat topiaries, the habitat of the louse has been completely destroyed. It's been decimated, and it's got to the stage where the World Wildlife Fund are getting rid of their panda logo and replacing it with a single pube hanging from a pubic louse. That's their new emblem. And it's only now that we fully understand the environmental catastrophe of Brazilian deforestation. But as the lady said over there, you got to shave your pubes to get rid of it. I shaved my pubes, not because I had lice, just because I was trying to be a metrosexual. My wife said to me that she wanted me to be more of a metrosexual and I had to shave my pubes off, and she said, I'll do it for you. So I'll give you some advice if you're going to do it, guys, right? Don't use a beard trimmer that's designed for a nice smooth area of face to try and shave someone wrinkled like Keith Richards at the end of a world tour. And don't let someone else do it. I got my missus to do it, and I should have done it myself because there's a lot of repercussions when your nutsack gets caught in the blades. And basically my ball bag looked like it had, clumps of hair and some bald patches and some blood coming out. And it looked like Noel Edmonds on chemotherapy. Everyone likes that line, don't they? It's nice. So yeah, I've given up doing the shaving. What I decided to do was to use some of the hair removal cream instead. So I put a load of hair removal cream on my balls, but it made them go bright red and swell up to 4 times the normal size. And there were some bad effects as well. They became a bit itchy and there was some skin loss. So I looked at the packet, and on the packet it said, not tested on animals. And I thought, not tested on animals, I don't want to be the guinea pig. Just call me old-fashioned, right? But I want a guinea pig to be the guinea pig. I don't see what's wrong with that. Now, there's been a lot of, well, basically, if you were famous in the 1970s, you are now being taken to court for all kinds of allegations, and most of them are being proven to be false. I mean, you had obviously Jimmy Savile. Now that hasn't been proven to be false. You had half the cast of Coronation Street. You had Ken Dodd's Diddlemen. There's been all kinds of people, and then there was David Lee Travis. Now, David Lee Travis managed to get off with most of his charges, which was amazing because he called in the Chuckle Brothers as character witnesses, which is amazing. And so the Chuckle Brothers came in and he got off. I mean, they had a lot of groupies themselves. I mean, the Chuckle Brothers basically, tomato you, which end do you want first, Barry? But there must be amazing witnesses for him to get away with it. So, you can imagine that there's such good witnesses that the legal team of Oscar Pistorius is going to ring them up. Get me the Chuckle Brothers. Now, I misread a newspaper headline yesterday, and it was about Jimmy Tarbuck, and it said, "Tarby, my sex charge hell," and I thought it said, "Tarby, my sex change hell," and I wasn't aware he was having that done. But then this image came into my head of Jimmy Tarbuck with this horrible big fanny that had gone wrong with surgery, so it was like a roadkill. Now, you know when someone says to you, try not to think of a pink elephant, or try not to think of something, try not to think of Jimmy Tarbuck with a big fanny. You won't be able to, you're going to be thinking about it now. You're going to have to go off to the toilets and have a good hard think about that for about half an hour, I imagine. And then there's the whole Max Clifford story as well. I've been enjoying reading that in the news. That's been pretty funny, hasn't it? This woman trying to get in the movies who said, "I can guarantee you a small part." But there's been lots of stuff in the news that's quite amused me. I mean, there was this story in the news about this guy who's Britain's first confirmed selfie addict. And he's taken kind of 200 pictures a day with his mobile phone of his face, this lad. And I'm ashamed to say he was from Newcastle, which is quite embarrassing. You should stick to some, usual hobbies like drinking, smoking and fighting rather than, taking photographs of yourself. Anyway, he tried to get in with this modelling agency and they said, "No, sorry son, your skin isn't up to scratch." Which is ironic because as soon as he left, he went and scratched himself to fuck because he's into selfie harming. I knew we'd get that reaction. But the sad thing is, there's a tragedy at the end of this story because he took an overdose of pills and failed to kill himself. Now, there was a woman that did manage to kill herself, you may have seen. She stuck a knife in her neck in Asda somewhere in Yorkshire. Did you hear about this story? This Asian woman went into Asda, picked up a knife from the kitchen section and cut her own throat. And I wonder if she did this while she was doing it. But the thing is, she did it in Asda, and it struck me that if she'd done it in Lidl, she wouldn't have used a knife. She would have used a chainsaw, a welding set, and a pack of 100 kids' pencils. And then the best of it is, someone else would have come along and picked up her body and took it to the counter and gone, "Great, I got the last one." They fucking sell anything in there, don't they? So let's ask someone else in the crowd. Have you ever shot yourself? Yeah. As an adult? Good, isn't it? I did it last year when I was scuba diving. Managed to ship myself underwater in a wetsuit, which was very unpleasant. And so there I am, 30 metres underwater, looking like some kind of gravy dispenser with all these fish following me. Now you may have seen these lovely ornate reef fish. Their normal diet is coral, but they'd rather eat human shit given half the chance. So they follow me around, I'm there like some kind of disgusting submarine fecal pied piper with these things coming after me. And all the other guys are getting some lovely photographs of these fish, and I wasn't enjoying it and everyone else was. But everyone gets ill in Egypt, don't they? I mean, they should have it on the tourist materials. Did you? Was that when you shot yourself, or was that another time?
I did. Another time. I did. Yeah.
You did that as well?
Yeah.
I think it's part of the course. Anyway, so yeah, it should be on their promotional materials, shouldn't it? It should be dive the Red Sea, visit the pyramids, fire 60 gallons of gravy out your arsehole off the back of a camel. They've recently found some hieroglyphs in the Valley of the Kings that depict a tourist hundreds of years ago shitting in his own pants. It's been going on a long time. But the worst of it is when you're ill like that, you have to wipe and wipe and wipe and then you become sore. And it's basically like you spent the weekend at Michael Barrymore's pool party. Now, as I was telling you earlier, I shaved off my pubes, and it was while I was doing that I realised I had a lump at the back of my scrotum. And I was a bit worried about it, and I went to see the doctor and I thought I might have cancer, and the doctor says, "Oh, better take a look at it." And she said, "Oh, we better take that off for you." So they chopped it off with a local anaesthetic. And then I had to go back to the doctors to find out what it was, and I was a bit fearful I had cancer. Anyway, the doctor says, "The good news is it's not cancer." And I said, "Well, what is it then?" And she said, "It's an accessory scrotum." And I'd never heard of this. Now, if you've ever seen The Man with the Golden Gun, you remember Scaramanga is a guy with an extra nipple. He's got an accessory nipple. And I've been told I've got an accessory scrotum. And I was disappointed because they'd taken it away. And I thought, I could have used that. Think of all the things you can do with an extra ball bag. You can hide your money in it at the beach. You get a few dodgy looks at the ice cream man, but it all goes well. You can take a camping instead of a sleeping bag. Just roll it out, stick your legs inside, nice and insulated and warm. You can hide your drugs in it at Glastonbury. The coppers are not going to say, "Turn out your bollocks," are they? And the best thing is, right, if you put the exact mass of dope into that ball bag that matches the mass of your testes in the other ball bag, you can bang them together like a Harry Newton's cradle. And of course, the best use of having two ball bags is you can teabag two ladies at the same time. And for those of you who aren't aware of what teabagging actually is, it's where you dip your bollocks in a mug of boiling water. So I read this thing about a marsupial mouse that has so much sex that the male dies of exhaustion. I thought, that doesn't sound too bad. That's a good way to go, isn't it? I'll try that when I get home. It didn't really work out for me. I got bitten on the bell end, then my balls got caught in the bars of the cage and I had to smash it off the wall like a Heathrow baggage handler. And it was painful, and my kids were really not impressed by what happened to Mrs. Nibbles. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he's an ophthalmologist, and he said that in Japan, the latest craze for teenagers to lick each other's eyeballs. It's a sexual practice they call oculolingus. I thought, I wouldn't fancy that much, I'm not going to lick a Jap's eye. Well, I've just got one more thing for you, which is a question that I've been pondering for some time. I've been wondering about this now, I don't know if you know the answer. If you self-asphyxiate when you masturbate by shoving an orange in your mouth, does that count as one of your 5 a day? Think about it. I'm Steve Corrigan, thank you.
Super, give me a big round of applause. Steve Corrigan, everyone. Thanks, Steve, appreciate it. Okay, next up tonight is Dead Sea Revival, superb band, do not miss it. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 2 minutes.